Watching game and surveys, they go hand in hand, but how useful are they? And is surveying players actually a little bit of a detriment to the games that you enjoy? Today, we are going to be reacting to this video by Chris Wilson, who is a retired dev from Path of Exile, who makes amazing takes on gamings and gaming culture and the current systems that we exist in. And he's made this video saying, don't survey your players. So we're going to take a look at his take on why surveys might actually be a bit of a detriment to games. And we all know that in the gacha space, we see surveys sometimes as this like king, this golden thing that we love participating in and talking about. But is it actually not as good as we think? So let's go and take a look and see if we agree.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilson.
Hi, Chris.
Veteran game designer Mark Rosewater once said, "Your audience is good at recognizing problems and bad at solving them."
Immediately we're off to a crazy start. I already agree. Yes, true. This goes for like anything. People are often good at figuring out what's wrong, but not really how to solve it. Think of an argument. How many times have you had an argument with someone? You know, you want to prove them wrong and you recognize something is wrong, but we don't go about conflict resolution in the best way. This happens for everything in life.
Today I want to give some advice to the game developers in my audience. Don't survey your players to help you decide your game's design direction. Now, that probably sounds strange, because asking your community how to improve your game seems completely reasonable. And to be clear, I'm not saying you shouldn't listen to your players. Of course you should. You should solicit feedback about specific topics, watch how people play, pay attention to complaints, and take reported problems seriously.
I agree, because sometimes you will get people that don't even play or invest that much time into the games trying to give feedback on something that maybe isn't made for them or doesn't actually agree with the design philosophy of a game inherently, right? So and sometimes that advice can shift the game into something that it's not meant to be in the first place. We kind of had this discussion with Arknight's Enfield, right? So let's let's go take a look.
But there's a big difference between listening to feedback and asking players to help you decide what your vision for the game should be.
True.
In this video, I want to talk through 4 reasons.
How many times have we said sometimes people don't know what they want? Right? Sometimes people only want what benefits them personally, not what would be beneficial for a whole game or concept.
Where surveying players can be dangerous. The first problem is that it makes you look like you just don't know what you're doing. As the game's developer, you should have a clear vision of where the game is heading, and if you don't, you should fix that while at least projecting the impression that you have one. When you ask players to...
Lie! We've got our shit together, don't worry, we know what our game is. Guys, team meeting.
We need an urgent team meeting right now. What the fuck is our game? Who is our game for? Who do we want playing our game? How do we want it to be designed? What do we want our game loop to be? Quick, put out a preview live stream now.
Choose between possible game features in a survey, it can make it seem like you just don't have that vision. It gives the impression that you're unsure about what matters, or that you don't understand your own game well enough to assess what's important. Now, sometimes your team does have a plan, but someone elsewhere in the company or at your publisher decides to be really helpful and to do some market research for you via a survey. But if that survey leaks, players aren't going to know who wrote the questions. They'll assume the questions reflect what the dev team is seriously considering. And if the questions seem out of touch, then your team seems out of touch.
That's true. I mean, it's also, it's one of those things as well. Like, how many times have we had surveys where they've kind of asked for our opinion on something to then just never implement the thing that we always say we want? There could also be a downside of surveys, right? Like, oh, we want your opinion on this thing. But if that thing then never changes, then people might think that the surveys are pointless too. Ooh. Yeah, you have to be careful because you are communicating information with surveys. You are inherently expressing these are things that we as a dev team find valuable. We want to see how valuable you find them too.
The second problem with surveys is they create expectations. The moment you put an idea in front of your players and ask them to weigh in on it, you imply that it's on the table.
Oh my god, bro is speaking my language.
You imply that it might happen. Why else would you include it in the survey? Once players believe that the only thing stopping an idea from becoming reality is persuading you to go ahead with it, they'll campaign for it and expect it.
That's a good way of framing it. Expectations. That's a better way that I'm talking about it. Yeah, it sets up this idea of like, oh, they're going to be doing this. Like, do you remember when they asked us for like, what kind of like collaborations and stuff do you want like in the game? I remember that there was a survey for that. And then it kind of sets the expectation of like, okay, clearly they're going to cook something with that.
This is very different from players independently asking you for a feature. Banding together and pushing for an idea on their own is normal feedback. But if you asked about it first, then not following through will feel like a broken promise. They'll feel ignored and misled. Even worse, some players may answer based on what benefits them personally, rather than what's best for the game overall. They may vote for whatever helps their build, their playstyle, or their short-term.
I want to log into Woowa and I want to do one tacit field and I get all my materials in one go. Like, yeah, okay, that might benefit you, but like in terms of the game, is that really gonna help? Is that really gonna help like the game? It might help you, but is it good for the game? Like, there's two different things. Sometimes making something easier doesn't mean that it improves the whole game experience. Because I feel especially with gacha gamers, sometimes it's like the less you play the game, the better an update is. Like, the more efficient you do something, the better the game is. When really, it should be like, is the gameplay you actually choose to engage with fun? Is it productive? Is it a good use of your time? That's what these games should be. That when you choose to do something, it's a productive, fun, good use of your time. But if people are just like, I just want to do one thing and get everything I need, then maybe there's a fundamental problem with the game itself. Especially when you have these free-to-play games.
Enjoyment, even if that would damage the long-term health of the game. If you make a habit of surveying players, you can train your community to expect consultation. Then the next time you make a decision on your own, people may ask why you weren't consulted first. You'll gradually give up your ability to act decisively without backlash. The third problem is that surveys often don't give you information that's actually useful. Players are often very good at telling you when something feels frustrating, unrewarding, unfair, or confusing, and that kind of feedback is incredibly valuable. But the solutions they propose are often not the right ones, because unlike you, they don't have to balance the entire game.
Oh, substat rerollers. That comes into mind. People complaining about like echoes, echo grinding, echo leveling tuners, and echo tube XP substat. I think people have problems and they were like, I don't like it, I want it different. But to actually fix the issue is difficult. And when it came to substat rerollers, they put out the little ones you could get with the corals and divided people a lot. It divided people a lot.
This is the trap with surveys. They often ask players to choose solutions when what you really need to discover is the problem. As any statistician can tell you, it's actually extremely hard to design a good survey. Wording affects outcomes, answer choices affect outcomes, the kind of people who respond affect the outcomes. The players who fill out the surveys may skew towards the most engaged, upset, or opinionated players, missing out the many people who really just don't feel strongly enough to fill out the survey on that given day.
It goes back to the saying, I've done this analogy before. You order some food, it gets delivered, and the food is as expected, it's fine. The likelihood of you leaving a review, probably not really that high. You're more likely to leave like a review of something or participate in a survey if you're angry, or if you're upset, or if you want something to change. Like, if you frequent something and you're not happy with it, you're more likely to be engaged if you're of two sides, very hyper invested and very forward about the game that you like, or you're angry about it, right? It's one or the other. So those are the people that you'd get responding to your surveys, which is what he's pointing out. Like, if your food arrives and it's cold or something's missing, you're going to leave a 1-star review. It enacts action. So surveys tend to be responded by the most emotionally charged kind of people or the most opinionated kinds of people. Most people who just play the games and it's whatever will not engage with surveys whatsoever. Those are the people's opinions that actually might matter the most. So I get what he's saying here.
And this skews the results also. Your survey tells you that 50% of players reached maximum level in your game, but your own database tells you it's less than 1%. Your survey gives you a pretty spreadsheet of data that looks clean and insightful, but it may tell you far less than your own game data, direct player observation, and common sense already can.
Looking at Twitter versus what the actual player base thinks. Because again, like social media, Twitter, the most hyper invested like people who exist in the communities to enjoy them and participate. It's very different from the average player experience of these games. So you can't trust online opinion because they're from the most invested people, the most opinionated. You can't trust survey opinion as well. Yep, it's hard.
The fourth problem is that bad survey results can push you into worse decisions. This is the part that worries me the most. If the sample is biased, the answers are self-interested, the questions are focused on solutions instead of problems, and if you've already started giving up on the perception of having a strong vision, then the survey not only fails to help you, but may actively pull you in the wrong direction. You start optimizing for the loudest players instead of the whole community. You start reacting to short-term discomfort instead of thinking about long-term health. You start drifting towards safer, more obvious ideas instead of making stronger creative decisions that your game may actually need.
Sometimes you gotta say, fuck it, we ball, and do something that no one else has done, take a risk and see if it sticks or not. Rather than, like they say, just play the safe route. I agree. I agree.
A lot of players naturally argue for immediate comfort, more rewards, less friction, less punishment, more power, more convenience.
More pawns per patch.
And sometimes, of course, that is the right answer. But sometimes the things that players push back on in the short term are exactly the things that give a game depth, meaning, and memorability over time. That's why the design direction has to come from you, the developer. I'm not trying to say don't.
It's like, instead of just giving players more polls just for nothing per patch, you make gameplay modes that are inherently more fun for you to actually participate in. They give you the rewards in the first place, right? Like,
listen to players. Obviously you should, but there's real danger in asking players to tell you how to change your game. So how should you get feedback from players instead? Well, start with finding out about the game's problems, not the proposed fixes. Watch people play, read what frustrates them, ask targeted questions about specific pain points. Your players are excellent at telling you when something feels bad, confusing, unfair, or unrewarding. What they are not responsible for is balancing the whole game or protecting its long-term health. That part is your job. Don't ask players to choose your direction for you. Ask them whether they're having the experience that you intended. Because when you ask players how to improve the game's design in broad, solution-seeking surveys, you risk looking like you lack vision, you create expectations, you gather distorted information, and you can end up making worse decisions for the game as a result. Players are very good at telling you where the pain is. It is your job to decide what the cure is. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and consider subscribing.
This guy is so awesome. I love this guy. Chris, an actual goat. He is an actual goat. Bro just made a 5-minute video. No, cut the bullshit. Straight to the point. And just gives, like, truth nukes. Absolute truth nukes. And I really think that gacha games suffer massively from what these surveys do and succumb to. I think it's a good idea. What frustrates you? Talk about what frustrates you. And it's the game developer's job to fix those problems. It's not the audience's job to fix the problem, right? That's the job of the game developers. But talk about what you don't like and what frustrates you, and we'll see from there. W Bold. Honestly, shout out to all the baldies out there. Y'all are great. Y'all are goats. But yeah, because I really think we could apply this to so many games, especially in like the free-to-play sort of world as well. This applies to. But yeah, no. Gacha games are safe. Okay, out of curiosity, how many of y'all actually participate in surveys when they release? Type 1 if you actually do surveys for games you play. I'm curious. Type 1 if you do, type 2 if you don't. Sometimes I had thought a lot of people that watch content creators will actually do surveys. I think this is as an example of like maybe skewed data, because you guys that watch content creators about these games are probably way more likely to participate in surveys from these games than the average person that plays, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you actually do participate in surveys. I never see surveys. Yeah, what a great way to out yourself as a tourist that doesn't log into your games. Oh. Are you in surveys only for Zenless? People who consume content on the minority, they are. I'm blind. My bad. I have the exact opposite opinion of yours, though. That's fine. You can have an opposite opinion. Depends on if I A, remember, and B, feel the strong desire to let them of something that's bothering me. Honestly, W participants. this isn't a message to stop participating in surveys. This is more of a message for developers of how to change the way they do surveys. Every time they do a survey, you should participate if you care, right? And to help them with their feedback. This isn't saying you shouldn't do them or they're pointless. This is more of a message for game developers than like anything else. But this was a great video. Make sure to go subscribe to Chris Wilson. He does amazing insights into like the gaming
Thanks
space
very
and the
much.
gaming world. He's absolutely a gem. Please go subscribe. I appreciate y'all. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to this channel where we discuss lots of things, gacha, gaming, free to play, all that good stuff. And I appreciate y'all the next one. Peace. Bye.